Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, we're looking at Carson City with the Carson City manager, Glen Martel, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
The points are flying out the door during the Point Party Palooza giveaways going on now at the Carson Valley Inn. Up to 1 million points given away each drawing night, and over 1 million in points guaranteed during the grand prize point explosion. Get in on the action at the Carson Valley Inn.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation, and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. But it's more than just growth. Our community is our foundation, supporting families, empowering local initiatives, and creating a place where everyone belongs. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Join us in building a brighter future right here in Story County. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome back to the program Glen Martel. In a different position this time, he comes as Carson City manager. Pleasure to have you back on the program.
Thank you, Sam. Good to be back.
So let me ask you this. What attracted you to wanting to be the Carson City manager?
So as we, in my previous role, we had talked when we moved back from Texas, opportunity to come back to our home city in Carson City and help an organization that was statewide and helps Nevada. And when this opportunity came up, I just think it was the next step to actually work in the city I grew up in and hopefully be a part of its foundation for the future and continue to move it forward.
It seems to be a very interesting time that Carson City is at a crossroads. The population has been very stable for a long time, around, 60,000 people?
Just went over 61,000 yesterday.
Right. Yesterday, okay. So the population is good. It's not a situation where people are leaving. Government remains centered in Carson City, yes. Even though over the years people have said, well, with the growth in Southern Nevada and the power base moving to Southern Nevada, yeah, there are lots of things that are being done there on a government basis, but the mainstay of government still remains in Carson City.
It does, and right now the state is working on their new office complex to the east side of Stewart Street there behind the Capitol complex. And they're looking at investing just over $100 million in Carson City and consolidating about 1,200 or so jobs right there behind the legislative area. So we're happy to be a partner with the state and keeping the capital city vibrant.
And there is definitely a boom every 2 years.
Yes.
With the legislative session.
Yes. And that's part of what, I don't know if you've heard, but we just redid our building department within Carson City, and it's now planning and economic development. And that's part of what we're looking at. Hope and her team there within the department, they're looking at what we can do downtown, not only for the residents that are there full time, but certainly when that boom hits every 2 years, that those businesses in those areas downtown are ready to be a part of what's going on every 2 years.
All right, so expand on that, because there's been a lot. You and I, in fact, talked about this a year or so ago. Tell us what the plans are that you're in process with for downtown.
So, well, I just said the state is the big one right now. They're looking at about the $100 million. Carson City, the thing we're doing right now, We just did here a couple weeks ago, stood up an internal chief building official as well as a planning and economic development department, like I said. So Hope Sullivan is now a dual director, if you will, and they're both wearing both those hats. And the first task the team is looking at is how we look at the availability of our older buildings downtown. We have some really neat, historical, unique buildings. And there's challenges with those older buildings sometimes. And we're getting our building official, our fire marshal together, our fire chief and health department, all those together to actually have a team that's looking at downtown and see what the city can do to make sure that those buildings are safe for everybody, but that we're as flexible as we can be in helping those businesses that either want to come into downtown or expand downtown, that we can do everything we can to support them and make sure that downtown is where people want to be.
And one of the big attractions for Carson City is the tourism. Historic tourism.
Yes.
You know, I mean, people going through the legislative buildings and going through the governor's executive offices. There are some wonderful things to look at, the history of the state of Nevada.
They are, and you know, we were talking with that too. We've had, I think, two new hotels just in the last few months being built in Carson, just for that, right? People come in during the weekends as well, and right now our occupancy rates are really high for our hotels. They're very happy with that. And when you look at not only, as you said, the legislative component, but when you look at the rail history right there in Carson City, and you look at where we sit, you know, right in between Tahoe, Virginia City, you know, the ranges to the east, Tahoe, all that stuff is beautiful for people that want to come in and you know, come over the hill or come into Carson and be, you know, experiencing something different, not only the history, but certainly as now, you know, the weather. We just got done with a good snowstorm and people want to come and ski and be a part of that. So we're excited to be there.
As I talk to a lot of different counties, and Carson City is its own county,
Yes.
It's, you know, concerning that there are fiscal concerns on the horizon. What is it looking like for Carson City?
So as you mentioned, a consolidated municipality, right? So we have both the city and the county functions, and right now this year we're just starting our budget process for fiscal 27, and we're projecting flat income. We don't see any challenges, drastic challenges this year, but I think like a lot of other jurisdictions and entities, like you said, when we project those flat incomes out, when we look at the cost of whatever, inflation going up, whether that be pipes in the ground or pumps or asphalt patches or whatever it might be, and wages going up and benefits for those wages, out in the future years, it does begin to eat away at some of the cushion that we like to have, and we're looking at how we get there. But for the next couple of years, we're okay.
You know, there's discussion about lifting the property tax caps. And I think that that might be a fine thing to do if all the people that raise the taxes want to be out of office by the next session. What alternatives are there?
Well, you have your local. I mean, you can do your gas taxes. You know, if depending what jurisdiction you're in, there might be a little bit of sales tax component left in your budget, you know, your area or not. But those again face challenges with the voters. A lot of people say, you know, you have enough taxes, and I'm happy to talk with anybody about where we can find some savings. But you know, with coming into my second budget year now, it's not there. We're pretty efficient at what we do as far as the city goes. But again, we want and we need good people on the team to take care of Carson City. That costs money. The materials to let them do their jobs well takes money. And both of those are on an upward curve, and sales tax and everything else, like we mentioned before, is flat. And so when those curves don't meet, it's difficult. And I agree that the property tax would be a hot potato to bounce around the legislature. But I do think...
I think it's impossible.
It might very well be impossible. That, to me, though...
If they couldn't do it in California, there's no way they're going to get that done in Nevada.
And so I think what we then have to get to as jurisdictions is then manage expectations, because the income is not there, sales tax or otherwise, property tax. The services continue to cost increase to perform, and the benefits for the team and their wages continue. And like I said, those curves don't cross, they don't meet in the future given the current expectations and projections. So then you actually get into people discussions and service discussions to make sure that things continue to move forward.
And that would create problems for every jurisdiction in terms of the most expensive things, I presume, is the same in Carson City or police and fire.
Absolutely.
And so nobody wants to be able to cut back on those areas.
No.
It's going to be interesting days ahead. One of the things that everybody who comes into Carson City for the legislature looks across the street of the Ormsby House and goes, boy, that's a beautiful building. When are they going to do something with it? It's been forever.
it depends on who you talk to, 99 or 2000. So we'll just round numbers, 25, 26 years it's been where it is today. It continues.
Which, by the way, is empty.
Absolutely empty. And I've watched it. I was in Carson City growing up when that was the place to be. And, I'm as frustrated as everybody else seeing it sit empty. There continues to be interest in the building. It's just, I think it's a question of, are there synergies in the town? To that would be a pretty major undertaking. You're talking a few million, tens of millions of dollars to turn that into, what it could be.
And what could it be? I mean, because, realistically, because this is going back to the Paul Laxalt era, when we looked at the Mapes Hotel in Reno, there was a lot of crying and yelling about that. But the reality was the rooms were too small. Everything in the building was outdated. And so, what are you going to do with that?
Right. And same challenge with the Ormsby House, right? Those rooms are...
As our heating system just kicked on, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll discuss what we can do after this time out. We'll be right back.
We're the Peters family, 2 combat veterans, our daughter Elle, and our Liberty Dogs puppy in training, Cooper.
Cooper will grow up to be a life-changing companion to a veteran with visible or invisible challenges.
We're helping Cooper build focus and confidence so he's ready to support his veteran.
And we know he will help bring happiness and independence to his veteran's life.
So join us, become a puppy raiser, and change lives, one puppy at a time.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain. And for over 90 years, the Nevada Trucking Association has been the voice for the men and women in the trucking industry. From Carson City to Washington, D.C., we advocate for policies to protect our trucking companies and keep commerce flowing. Because Nevada's and America's prosperity is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Glen Martel. He's the Carson City manager. We were talking about the Ormsby House and how it could be purposed or repurposed going forward.
Yeah, so I think what most people have focused on when they come and look at it is what kind of mixed use could be put in there. There's some adjacent properties that come with it. The parking garage is the same ownership and the empty lot to the south. So is there an opportunity to remodel the existing hotel rooms and make that a part of a different type casino conference type structure? Is there a mixed use where maybe there's an office component on the empty lot that's adjacent to maybe a job generating type area within the larger area old conference area of the facility? So all those kind of things and others have been bounced around that I'm aware of, and I know there's others that the owners have talked about. Those are just some of the things that have been somewhat publicly discussed. I'm just excited, I think with other things going on in Carson City, as I said, I think that there's some energy that I would like to see come into that, what I call the south end of downtown, right there on the south side of 5th Street. And just to have that re-energized, as we talked about earlier, that's a historical piece now. It's over 50 years old. The architecture is iconic within Carson City. And I really hope that in the near future, we're able to find a developer that has an idea that is able to come in and make that work for Carson City.
The owners, if I'm not mistaken, are from a tech background.
Yes.
And it seems to me that with all that's going on in northern Nevada, that some adaptation for the tech industry would be incredible.
like an innovation type center, right, or a job hub kind of thing, I think is one of the things that we've heard talked about. And I don't know that business very well, but I would think, when you look at where the economy is today and how people operate, that having maybe housing, if not directly adjacent to, but certainly within walking distance of an opportunity like that is what a lot of people are interested in. They don't have to drive. They don't have to commute anywhere. They can just get out, walk a block, or walk next door potentially to their job. And I think something like that is certainly available with the layout and the properties that are there, but it's just a question of having the right person and the right company come in.
All right, let's take another break and we'll be right back.
The new year is bringing new ways to win big during the $175,000 Winter Wonderland giveaways at Tamarack Casino. Win up to $5,000 in cash every week and a top prize of $20,000 in cash during the grand finale drawing. Your good times are at Tamarack Casino.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
They call him high-flying Aaron Ford. In just 1 year, Aaron Ford spent 137 days out of Nevada, almost 5 months. While Nevadans were here, working, raising families, dealing with everyday problems, Ford was racking up frequent flyer miles, traveling to France, Singapore, Taiwan, and the Yucatan. Nevada doesn't need a globe-trotting politician. We need an attorney general who shows up. High-flying Aaron Ford. If he won't show up for this job, why promote him to governor?
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Glen Martel. He's the Carson City manager. So, we're talking about tech industry. Seeing reports here that Tract is looking at developing 245 acres out at TRI. There is access from TRI into the Dayton, Carson City area. In terms of housing, are you looking at any potential boom, and does Carson City want any potential boom?
I don't know that we're looking at a boom. I know we're talking with our neighbors. As you said, the transportation connections are there. We have people that, drive from Dayton into Carson. We have people that, drive the loop, right? You go into Trick, you come through the roundabout in Silver Springs and you go there. So talking with our neighboring jurisdictions, Lyon and Story in particular in this case, how we connect and how we make sure that those folks have transportation opportunities are something we're all talking about. Housing boom in Carson City, I don't know that it's a boom, but if you look back the last couple of years, we've had an increase in the multifamily type buildings and opportunities in Carson City. And I think that's when residents look, those are the big buildings that go up, and that's where residents have some questions, and rightly so. But when you look at Carson City, we are well positioned for the growth. Our growth management ordinance has been in place for over about 30 years now, and that looks at our water and sewer capacities and everything. So we've not exceeded those limits, and we're able to support those folks. But I don't see a boom coming, no.
Okay, so what do you anticipate, say, 10 years from now in terms of population if you're at 61,000 now?
So we look at 80,000 roughly as a build out when we look at the available land we have and projecting what we see going on now. And right now in the last 10 years, we've only had 6,000 or 7,000 people added to the population. So when you look at that projection, 10 years out, we get close to 70,000. We're getting very close to build out. 20 years is that rough number out there in the future where we see Carson City being built out with what we know today about housing requirements and the land we have.
Fascinating, because you're not going to see vertical development.
No, that is one thing that Carson City has been clear on, and I understand that we do not want a city skyline, towers downtown and that. Everybody, and I am too, proud of our historic downtown, and that that challenges us with other opportunities, but I certainly appreciate that and look to protect what we have as a skyscape now.
Around the Carson Nugget, there's a lot of land there. Tell us about the ideas for development there and where you are with that at this point.
So that's the Hoppin May Adams Foundation, and they did bring a project forward to the city last February, a year ago, before my time in this chair. And they discussed at that time maybe a new city hall. The city had talked to the owners about the need maybe for Carson City to consolidate the public-facing services within Carson City and invest some into its own structure, similar to what the state's doing on Stewart Street. So that draft project was brought forward last February. And we're looking at that now as staff. Back then, the board said, hey, go look at this and see if this makes sense, see if we can build a city hall or if remodeling something makes sense to meet our goals of consolidating our services and investing in our own infrastructure. So we're looking at that. And right now, sitting here today, in the near future, I anticipate having a discussion with the board on the options. We continue to look at the financing options, location options, comparing different scenarios of what that might look like. So in the near future, I anticipate getting to the board and having that discussion, getting direction from them on how to proceed.
What kind of input are you getting from the public? Pro and con?
Definitely pro and con. I think, the cons really are, and not that it's bad, it's people want us to be responsible with the money. Can we afford it? And those are the things we're looking at. When our bonds come in, what does our income look like, and those kind of things. Financing is a big one. Also, do we really need a new city hall versus can we remodel an existing building or continue to function in the areas we're at? And those are the things we're looking at as we know that as the population grows, services will need to grow a little bit, not as much maybe, but certainly we have to account for that. And those are all the puzzle pieces we're trying to put together to get to the board and have a really good discussion and make sure that it is financially sound, it is the right thing to do structure-wise for the city, and it does position Carson City the best for its future.
One of the areas that we've seen tremendous growth over the last decade or more is in the medical industry. I mean, the north end of town has got the Carson Tahoe Hospital, but a lot of ancillary services around there. And it's been interesting to watch that they're not just going after Carson City business, but they're also pushing into the southern portions of the Washoe Valley and into South Reno.
Yes.
What do you make of that, and where do you think that is going? Because it seems like there's more room to develop that industry.
There is more room to develop the industry, and working with Michelle and her team up there at the Carson Tahoe Hospital is a great partnership. As you said, I think having that focus there is great for Carson City. When you look at the opportunities in medical and the technology that brings and the jobs that spin off of that from a support side and maybe even an innovation side that we were touching on earlier with technology, I would like to see all of that as in Carson City and branch out. I think, when you look at the housing we talked about earlier too, right? Those professionals that come with that, all those technicians that go with that, that I think is a part of the growth we see in Carson City and making sure we have the right housing opportunities for those people, because I'd love for everybody that works there to stay there, live there, and be a part of the schools and the parks and everything else right in Carson City.
Carson Valley, there was a big fight years ago now between Douglas County and Carson City over the shopping centers, and it ended up where all of that moved over into Douglas County, and the taxes that go along with that moved to Douglas County. What are your thoughts about any expansion coming back into the Carson City area? Is that even possible?
When I talk to the people that do that stuff, you look at the old brick and mortar structure, that continues to be in flux, right? That was in flux before COVID hit, and then you look at where we are today. I don't know that we'll ever see dramatic growth in those like we did back in the day. I think
you mean in terms of retail?
Yeah, big box type stuff.
Really?
Not in our area. I think when you look at Dayton to the east, yes, you'll see those opportunities as traditions out there and stuff continue to grow. Yeah, those will be there. But in Carson City, when you look at that, the Costco's there, the Walmarts are there, the big lots are there, those kind of things are there. What I'm interested in, though, again, in Carson City in particular, is how we reinvest in those structures that we have, whether they're historic or maybe underutilized. Can they be re-envisioned to support, as we talked about, maybe a tech type thing? or maybe even some of the older buildings converted to some kind of housing opportunity where, people get an opportunity to get into their houses first. Maybe it's a building downtown that can be re-envisioned. Those are the kind of things I'm interested in looking at in Carson City.
Coming up, we have a legislative session.
Yes.
I know it's early to talk about that, but a year from now, there'll be a lot of people in Carson City. The always big problem is housing for the lobbyists, and the lobbyist corps doesn't get any smaller. Your thoughts on how Carson City, not to take advantage of it, but to benefit from it, should we say?
I think part of that is, we just had some discussions regarding short-term rentals in Carson City like other jurisdictions are doing. And I think that's a part of that. We understand that for that 6 or 8 months every 2 years, there is a group of housing. We have residents that they go somewhere else for 6 or 8 months. Maybe they have another home, maybe they go visit family somewhere, and they rent their house out to that legislative group or that particular individual. It is its own little cottage industry within the capital city. How we take advantage of that, I think we do well, again, with the legislators. There is a core typically downtown where they stay around. I think the expanded hotel opportunities support some of those. I think a lot of them like to be in a more residential type construct, so those are there. The apartment complexes, the growth there, I think too will help with that. So, but again, it is a fun time in Carson City to be around. If you haven't done that before, I know you have, but come hang around there when all those legislators are walking around and having their meetings in the gazebo area and walking across the streets and hanging out in the restaurant. It's an interesting place and time to be.
Yes, it is. I still miss Adele's, but
yes.
It is what it is.
Yes.
Glenn, thank you for being here. Appreciate what you're doing, and come back and keep us updated.
I will. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org. At Nevada Urban Indians in Reno, your health is our priority. Our medical clinic welcomes everyone. We accept all insurances, ensuring quality care is within reach. Nevada Urban Indians, your partners in health.
As always, you can watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at nevadanewsmakers.com, and our archive goes back to 2002. So you can look at all kinds of historic interviews right here on Nevada Newsmakers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next broadcast.